All right, so we got even more news about Vrabel and Russini. Although, in my opinion, this is a nothing burger. You're talking about somebody got a picture of them at a Super Bowl party, um, 2022 Super Bowl party, which I guess you could say something about them being there together, stuff like this. I don't know, but this picture, it just looks like they're in a loud situation and he's in his ear, she's in his ear saying whatever. Okay. But what they are given the sea of other information, uh, anything else that comes out between Vrabel and Russini being actually together is not a good look. What's that got to do with us in Philadelphia? Obviously, with the AJ Brown situation, is AJ Brown still going to New England? Does AJ Brown um, will with what's going on with Vrabel change his perspective? I don't know. I don't know. When you have a good relationship with somebody like that, you know what they're going through. So you try to be supportive and be there for them. So I don't think that they would just abandon each other or AJ would just like, nah, I don't want to go there. But it's possible. That's all I'm saying is it's impossible. Um, the other thing with this is, and I was trying to look for it. I couldn't find it. I am going to find it again and kind of go over that information. Somebody did a rundown, and this is to me as a Philadelphia Eagles fan and someone who follows the Eagles. This is where it comes down for me on this situation. This guy in this post ran down the reports that Russini gave throughout the years, not just with AJ Brown's situation, but with other situations. I believe it was with um, Julio Jones, um, and other situations where she was giving information and kind of changing the narrative, and it could have affected trade value in a particular deal, in a free agent deal, things of that nature. That's where this situation is going to get dark for the NFL. Because do I think there were some people in the NFL slash New England Patriots slash Tennessee Titans that knew what was going on? Probably. There was probably some people, just like they got sources close to everything else. You mean they didn't have sources close to this? Come on, let's keep it a buck. But one train of thought that I've talked about before is the circle of wives, coaches' wives, players' wives. There is always a segment. You get, and I've said this before, you have cliques on these teams just like you have anywhere else, like you had in high school, like you had in college. It's the same thing. Some people hang with certain people. You probably got them on your job. Everybody knows somebody. Everybody knows somebody that's associated with a thing. You got this group of people. If you're on your job, you got this group of people that you still know, go to the clubs, stay out till 2 o'clock in the morning, and still show up to work at 8 o'clock. You got this group of people that always going to the gym, but you know they always messing around and screwing somebody that works at the gym, messing with a trainer or something like that. And then you got this group of people that don't do that type of stuff. All they do is just watch everybody else and tell their business. So you still got groups of people and cliques in this hierarchy of wives, girlfriends, coaches, all of that type of stuff. It don't go nowhere. They still doing the same thing. Still doing the same exact thing. So it is my opinion. I can't guarantee it, but it's my opinion that absolutely there were wives that knew what was going on, other coaches' wives, other girlfriends' wives that may have seen something while they was on an away trip, or you never know. It might be some other coach's wives that was out doing dirt on their own and saw something. And it was like, oh, so you never know in these situations, but somebody knew something. That's the bottom line. Somebody knew something. It don't take rocket science to figure out that all of those reports and the breaking news that Russini had when she was in Tennessee all of a sudden stopped when Vrabel left and took another job. You see that she didn't go to Cleveland. Vrabel worked in Cleveland for half a season or whatever it was before he got hired in New England. I don't remember too many reports coming out of Cleveland. But as soon as he got to New England, now we got the Russini reports. Now you getting sources close to the. It ain't too hard to put two and two together. You had every report. You was the de facto go-to person in Tennessee. Now you're the de facto go-to person in New England, or at least you was. So it's not too hard to figure stuff like that out. So when you see it, you got this slow drip of information because now that picture, somebody had that picture. TMZ probably had it or somebody. That ain't telling you nothing. That's just piling on. That's not really giving you no new information at all. Now, the boat picture, that's different. That's different. And clearly, this is more than just Vrabel hooking up with Dianna Russini. In my opinion, this is a relationship. So how that affects us, again, is now, because I've been saying, Dianna Russini been catching all the strays. She been taking it on the chin, no pun intended. Vrabel has been pretty much. The last picture I saw of Vrabel was yesterday, and somebody took a picture of him on the field. I guess it was during the rookie mini camp or whatever it was. But he was out there doing his thing in his element and happy. I'm sure he was, because it can't be too great, I would imagine, for him going home. But again, don't nobody know what that situation is like. Don't nobody know what that dynamic is like between him and his family. Because if this has been going on for as long as it looks like, who's to say she didn't know what was going on? And when you got people with money like that, people like that do odd things. That's all I'm saying. There's some lifestyles that you wouldn't agree with that other people do. You can read between the lines. So who knows what it's going to do? Who knows what the next step is? My only question now is what is the NFL looking into as pertains to tampering? That's what I want to know, because clearly there's enough evidence that warrants an investigation. Leave the moral aspect out of it. Leave the journalistic integrity, because everybody's jumping on that bandwagon. And I'm like, y'all all full of shit. Everybody knows somebody, and everybody pulls some strings and pulls favors. That's just the way the sausage is made. Some people just pull a little bit more string than others. But at the end of the day, you still getting favors. You might not agree with how somebody else got them favors, but they favors nonetheless. But I want to see what the NFL is going to do as far as tampering, because that's what it comes down to. Because now, and I said this before, now when you look at the macro of the whole situation specifically between Russini and Vrabel, and she on many, many occasions have quoted that her sources close to the situation, close to the game, close to the team, her sources, apparently she was getting it from the source. She had direct access. It wasn't no 6 degrees of separation whatsoever. It was 1-to-1. So she was getting the information straight from the horse's mouth, which would lead me to believe that for the most part, most of her situations were spot on. Most of her reporting was spot on. Her batting average has got to be high. Her batting average has got to be sky high. So from that standpoint, was Vrabel using Dianna Russini to manipulate the market in the favor of whoever he was working for at that particular time? That's the question that the NFL needs to figure the hell out. And they could figure it out if they really, really wanted to. But just like everybody's questioning, the NFL has been surprisingly quiet on this situation. ESPN they're starting to take it on the chin and catch heat from this, because they've been ridiculously quiet on this situation. Because somebody brought up a fact, and I think they're 100% correct. ESPN benefits from this type of stuff, because when you get in all of this stuff, don't nobody want to talk about it, but They getting traffic. And all of them Russini reports, they was getting traffic from all of that. So everybody was benefiting from it. But I'm just curious as it pertains to the stuff that we're dealing with the Philadelphia Eagles and AJ Brown. Is this, or has she reported on something that changed the parameters of this potential deal? Now, the only out of it is because nothing has happened as of yet. The biggest benefit for the NFL and for this particular situation is from the rip. It's been like, well, this is probably going to happen after June 1st. So you can't really, what are you going to do with something that hasn't happened yet? But behind the scenes, again, we know how the sausage is made. This deal could have been done weeks ago. And they could have just agreed that says, hey, neither party is going to say anything until after the date where a lot of that cap hit goes away after June 1st. Nobody says anything till June 2nd, 12:01 a.m. So that's very possible. But at the end of the day, is it tampering? I think it is. But it ain't about what you think, it's about what you can prove.